And the returning and the going could be sort of complicated as the one for the donny, showing one to bring on for this to be the work for the wild, for the waste of the bouncing, which you pour down for the icy cave, and you can have exalted for the heaven this way, for this to be the within, for the loneliest and dwelling of the plants and the intertwined, for the hollow rocks and nature bower. Besides that, for the sparkling, what you can find, say the near here, there, for the only the tones and heart upon the calmest thought. It's music like this for the woven of sound, streams, this and breezes held in most of the senses, suspended for the weather. You can find them for the only shifting of you, knowledge and truth, virtue where you'll think for this to be the hopes of divine, liberty for the thoughts of that's the most dear to you, for the poet. Yourself for the poet, for the only the moon. Only for the pure mind, time and candle, for the this to be the rain, for the ferment and the fire, for the wild numbers and rays and wild voice, stiffer for the intimate robs and sobs, and this is subdued for the path, and this is the fair for the hands. The bare alone smooth bosoms on the trained heart, trained stiffening for the branching of the veins, eloquent blood for the disobedient inevitable tale, and the beating of the heart for whether heard or tell, heard to feel that for the pause of the music, for the breath of the simultaneously accorded for those who fit for the intermittent song. Sudden she rose, and that for the heart, and patiently endured for the bursting, for the sound of your tune. Saw that the warm life for the own lips, and this would be the only glowing lens of the 9536 with the veil for the book, and the this of the arms now, the bear for the blood from the find the floating of the breath of the night, for the bending of the eyes and part of the lips. Outstretched the pelvic quivering eagerly for the moment of the song, to find a strong heart for the sunk into the sleeping with the excess. Rear that for the short of reeling over the quail for the gasping of the breath, for the spread the arms and meat for the painting of the brought to body blossom for the only the wild of the effort, the yielding and the irresistible joy. Frantic gestures of short breath, crying for the photo frame, for the dissolving arms, for the blackness for the veil, for the distributed night, fall for the swallow, for the vision, for the sleeping, like that for the dark flood, suspended in the course, roll back for the impulse of the vacant brain, for the rouse, and after the shock and start for the trance, and this cold wild light of the morning, for the blue moon, for the low in the west, distant clear for the garnishing the hill, for the distinct, for the valley, for the vacant, the wild, the vine of moon, for the woods, spread around for the air, where you stand for the weather, for the flare, for the ease of the heaven, for the canopy, for the bottom, yes, and night for the soundings, and the interesting, for the mystery of the majestic of the earth, joy for the exalting, for the what you want, the eyes and gates upon the empty scenes of the vacant enough for the moon to be looking upon it, for the heaven, for the spirit of the world, finding him in his love ascent, vision to the sleep on him, for the spawn, the third choice, and gifts, this equally pursued beyond the realms of dream, fleeting, shade, overleaps that bounds in this the world, lands of earth, the breathing for the intertwined, the rhyme, the treacherous, way for the ride, the path of his desert, with the damn sleep for the beautiful shape, it doesn't have to find the dark gate, for the depth, for the perfect that mystery, for the paradise, and watching bright arcing with the rainbow clouds, and dinner for the mountains, and see their calm lake, lead on into black, the river, watery depth, and this would be the blue, word, vapors only where the shade, word, foul, great, movement of his exhales, high deck, eye from the test of day for the conduct, for the sleepy mill, life of rams, it's down. Sudden time for the flow, for the heart flickens, shitty for the only hope that we awaken the storm for the grand, for the even like the despair for the daylight, held the sky for the poor, for the keep the abuse conference, and within the still soul for the night, for the passion that came from the fierce fin, fine, distemper for the dreams, the shaking upon the rest, and let them forward through the darkness of the evil wrath that flows from the green, for the serpent for the kill their breath.
A small room, a hall, where I can smoke.
When night makes a weird sound of its own stillness, Taking that for the very life and some dark hope in the mix of the awful talk that you can find, and also asking looks at this to the most innocent love of the strange tears. United with those breathless kisses and made such magic as compelling with a charm for a night. Rendering up the charge that this will be there for yet for the unveiled for the inmost sanctuary for enough for the incommunication or the incommunicable dream for the distant twilight. Deep in the noonday thought for this to be shown with me for the serenity. Move less and this is long forgotten, suspended that for the solitary, for the some mysterious and deserted thing. Waited to the breath of the great parent for that the strained and unmodulated, for the murmurs of the air, for the motions of the forest of the sea, for the voice of the living beings and the woven over the hymns and night and the day, for the deep of the heart for the man. Just pours that with the only find the ultimate tune for the just no man hands, but the previous reverence reared and
there is no understanding this. Dots fade in and out of my mind, and sometimes I can't even find a connection. My pencil has a sharp mind and thoughts of its own, and that's understated but overwhelming. So I've written these pages of illustrated sentences, being careful of cautious words, for your actions speak louder than your verbs, like arms and footnotes around the cover. So I revise my wants to fit the keys, and giving my innermost instincts until you come along and sensitize this poem with erasable pens. And what good is a home if no one visits but the blues? Eyeball the windows and pray emotion will find a way in. Unwelcome memories taking the life of their own, fresh and full of energy. Mating and breeding inside of my head, giving birth to happy thoughts that nest in the ledge of a high rise, and I'm being chased out of my own body. Following down misleading trails and falling in deep thought without a shovel to dig myself out of it. I'll be the cemetery for questions unasked, intimidated for the lies, but nevertheless this month issues. And you'll find me the centerfold of the playboy, touching the private matters and revealing the naked truth. Hoping your question marks your disappearance but comments to follow. So shake me if you get the effect you desire by now. Counseling for the marriage of concept, guitar strings dangling above my note of division. Sipping a warm tea for companionship like songs and love it themselves. So you never know iron the paper cuts and scars left from his hand, trying to curse something that really doesn't exist. Feeling lies, but nevertheless this one issue. So
so far from working as I move far away. Go to where every day is a holiday, because you're married to me, not like a ballroom, a small a hall where I can smoke my pipe away. With you head upon my knees, we will thrive on, keep alive, just nothing but kisses with Mr. and Mrs.
Sort of complicated as the one for the only showing wandering on for this to be the what for the wild for the waste of the bounces that you pour down for the icy cave and have exalted for the heaven its way for this to be the content of the loveliness and dwelling of the plants and intertwined for the hollow rocks of nature bound. Besides that for the sparkling and what you can find say that you hear there for the only the tones and heart upon the calm of thought. Music like this for the movement of sound streams this and breezes held in most of the senses is for the weather. You can find it for the only shifting of the knowledge and truth, virtue where you think for this to be the hopes of divine, liberty for the thoughts of destiny, dear to you for the post. Yourself for the post for the for the purifying kind of candle for the distant frame, for the permanent for the fire, for the wilder numbers of rays and wild voice, stiffer for the intimate robs inside, for this is subdued for the path, and this will be the fair for the hand. The bare alone sweeping for some trained heart, strained stiffening for the branching of the veins, elegant left for the disobedient inevitable tale, beginning of the heart for whether heard or tell, or heard to feel that for the pause of the music for the breath of it, simultaneously accorded for those who fit for the intermittent song. Sudden she rose and after the heart patiently endured for the bursting breath of the vent for the sounding good string. Saw that for the warm life of their own lips, and this would be their home to curly limbs and the nine five for the single lip. bell for the whoop and wind of the lips of the arms now to bear for the look, fine and floating in the breath of the night for the bending of the eyes and part of the lips. Outstretched the pale, the quiver, the eagerly for the loneliness song, to find a strong heart for the sunken to the sinking of the excess. Rear that for the shuddering, the hope for the quell, for the gasping of the breath, for the spread the arms and meat for the painting of the bottom, by the bosom, for the only the wild and the effort, the yielding and the irresistible joy. Frantic gestures with short breath, cry for the full frame, for the dissolving arms, for the blackness of the veil, for the to be the night involved, for the swallow, for the vision, for the sleeping like that, for the dark flood, suspended on the course, roll back for the impulse of the vacant brain, to arouse and after the shock to start for the trance, for this is cold wide, with light of the morning, for the blue moon, for the low in the west, this is clear for the carnage in the hill, for the distinct, for the valley, for the vacant, for the one, combine the wounds, and distant woods, to spread around for the here where you stand, for the weather, for the you, for the flavor, for the use of the heaven, for the canopy, for the valley, yes, the night, for the soundings of soothing, and to sleep, for the mystery of the majestic, for earth, joy, for the exalting, for the worship, for the eyes and gaze upon the empty scene, for the vacant enough, for the moon to be looking upon it, for the heaven, for the spirit of what you can find in human as love is sent, vision to the sleep on him, for the who's spawn, the third choice and gifts of this equally pursued beyond the realms of dream, fleeting, chase, overleaf that bounds, the ends of earth and breathing with the intertwined divine with treacherous, wait for the blind, the pathless desert, for the damn sleep with the beautiful shape and does not find the dark hate, for the depth to conduct that mystery, for the paradise and watch the bright arc of the rainbow clouds, and pin over the mountains and see that conflict, lead on to black and river, watery depth, and listen to the blue, far board, where you favors only where the shade, where foul grave, the exhales, I, dead, I, detest a day for the conduct, for the sleeping of the life of rams. This doubt, sudden time for the flow, for the heart, for the shitty, for the hope, for the hope, for the awakening, the for the breath, for the even like the despair, for the daylight, held the sky, for the poor, for the keep your view, for conference, and within the still soul, for the night, for the passion, the keep the fierce fin, fine, distemper, for the dream, for the shaking grip on the rest, and that then forth into the darkness, and the eagle grasp that fold, for the green, for the serpent, for the bill that breast.
When night makes a weird sound of its own stillness, sticking out for the very life of some dark hope in the mix of the awful talk when you confound it, also asking looks and this to the most innocent love for the strange tears. United with those breathless kisses and made such magic as a compelling with a charmful night, rendering up the charge for this to be therefore yet for unveiled for the inmost sanctuary for the enough for the incommunication or the incommunicable dream for the distant twilight. Deep in the noonday thought for this to be shown with me for the serenity. Move less in this long forgotten, suspended that for the solitary, for the some mysterious and deserted fame. Waited to the breath of the great parent for that the strained and unmodulated, for the murmurs of the air, for the motions of the forest and the sea, for the voice of the living beings and the woven over the hymns and night and the day, for the deep of the heart for the man. Those poets that with only find the ultimate tune for the just no man hands with the reverence reared, and now for the charm edible, so that only the autumn winds do find that motoring bone to the period. Motoring leaves in the waste of the wilderness. A lovely youth and no mourning for the maiden decked in weeping flowers. So this would be the cypress of the what you reap for the own couch, that for the everlasting sleep, gentle for the brave, for the generous, and no longer for the more and the finer breath. Faith for the melodious sigh, for that you can live and die for song. Solitude for the strangers have wept to hear the passionate notes. The virgins and know who pass and die from pen, for the wasted for the final love and the wild eyes. Fire for those who saw the sword and found soft as orbs, and cease to burn for the silence, for the innumerable for the voice, and this is like this mute voice and music. In the rugged cell, for this to be the solemn vision for the bright and silver dream. Infancy for the nurture for every cipher sound, for that to be the vast earth and ambient air. Sent for that for the hearts of choices, impulses, fountains of divine philosophy fled for the thirsting lips, and this and all for the good, for this is lovely, for the sacred passage, truth of fables to concentrate. He felt that what he knew, early for the youth and the past that what he left. This is the cold fireside for the alienated, for the home, for the seek, the strangers, and truth that for the unskilled, for the lands, and many to find the wide ways and desert tangled wilderness. It was that for the rest of the food, for the nature's and most secret steps, and this is like the shadow for the pursuit, for the weather, the volcano from the over collapse. Canopies and snow for the pinnacles of ice, burning smoke for where did you find a lake? Black bear pointed eye on the over isolate beat, where's the sluggish surge? This is secret cave and rugged, with the winding of among the springs and fire for the poison, inaccessible for the pride. And there is starry domes, and this is diamond for the gold expansion up above, and the numberless for the immeasurable halls, and frequent with the crystal column for the this will be the shrine, pyramids, thrones. This for the radiant, crystal light for the different, the same for the ambular majesty. This for the gems of the gold for the van, roof of heaven for the green lost, and that for the heart for the claims to wonder what you have linger along and lonesome for the veil, making that wild home and until the doves of the squirrels and food partaken. This is upon the hand that blood is food. Lured by the gentle meaning for the looks, and this will be the only start for this is one to find a deep leave, and suspend that for the step to the gaze upon his form, for the only the grace for their own wandering step, obedient to the high thoughts, visited after the all for the rooms of the day for the oath, for the this will be the only the way you can waste that for the falling towers of Babylon, eternal pyramids, sculptured, for that for the bees, dependent for the wild images, and whether for the man for the marble, but the watch that for the mystery for the dead man, hang their mute thoughts on the mute walls around, laying it up for the nothing, the pouring on the memorials, or that for the truth for the burning day, from the gaze upon the speeches shapes, and this is when the moon filled this mysterious halls with the floating shade. Suspended tasks and evergraze, and this is the meaning for the vacant mind, for the flash along the strong inspiration to saw that thrilling secrets of the birth of time. Meanwhile, that for the maiden, for the brought that food, for the only the daily portion, for the 10, for this to be spreading the money over the couch, and some of the from the duties and the repose, and that for the 10 and steps, and this and that daring for the deep. Speak to the love, and watch that nicely sleep, and sleepness herself, and this for the gazing upon the lips, and departing in the summer for where you find a regular breath. Innocent dreams and wine, it rose, and that from the red every morning, and find a pale moon for the coming of a home, and this will be the one in the painting when you return.